Absolutely. Well, in the same vein, I love Louisiana Stories, and I'm glad you sent the email talking about the entirety of it because I think the older I get, the more I realize when I really get into an album, I'm really paying attention to the beginning and the end, the bookends, and how it all comes together. So you've
Yeah,
really captured this essence. Talk to me about how this idea came about. How did you hatch the idea for this album, and how did you assemble and get it together?
great question. Um, Organic. It's been with me for a long time since I came to Louisiana in 1977 to work and get to know the South as a writer to improve my range as a writer in the United States. I felt I needed to work in the South. Um, so that took me to Morgan City and becoming a roughneck and so forth, where I encountered one of the subjects of the album, Jack Groves. I was subsequently in Louisiana to be a roughneck and make money in 78, 79, and 80. I was also training for the U.S. Olympic Marathon trial and living in Lafayette in 79 and 1980. That was when I met Marcia, who was the subject of track three on Louisiana Stories. So I had those two very important people in my life that I needed to more respect. As I said in a launch party at Angela King's gallery, that when you're age 74, you need to pay your debts, the debts that have formed you. So that was a big part of it. And then, of course, I came back to New Orleans in 2006 to work with Common Ground. And that led to experiences that formed other tracks of the album: Louisiana Days, Louisiana Nights, The Dreamers and the Believers. And, I've been here since then. So Louisiana is in me, and I needed to uh, do a creation that represented that. And I have the band. Roger and Kirk have been with me since 2015. There couldn't be better players, Roger Lewis and Kirk Joseph,
Yeah.
from the New Orleans, Louisiana tradition. Now Don Bappy, an inestimable addition, likewise inestimable Herman LeBeau and Alexi Marti. So I have this beautiful nucleus to create something about Louisiana. Then we happened to be invited to a performance at the Jefferson Arts Center. And I saw again how this all could play out. I had the tracks kind of in sequence in my mind, but I could see from that performance, it was a performance of Fly about the Tuskegee Airmen. I
Yeah.
could see how sequence of the album could be a stage show. And that formed everything thereafter in terms of how I thought about the tracks and how we played them. That was imparted to all the musicians and our guests, Louis Michaud and Andre Michaud of Acadian and the Lost Bayou Ramblers. It was all with the idea that this is a very visual presentation of music,
Yeah.
and it's informed by the characters and scenes that we are, if you will, depicting. So, of course, there was musical structure in each one of them. And I owe to the musicians, for either creating that structure or embellishing it. But it was a gas, it was difficult sometimes. Other times it simply flowed. Over at Dockside, when we recorded on July 30th and 31st, and Louis and Andre Michaud were with us for 5 tracks on the second day. It was pretty much a dream. You know, we everything was one take, and we were completely in the moment.
Yeah. So the one thing about anybody that hasn't experienced Louisiana, there is definitely there's a very unique spirit. There's a very unique vibe that goes into it. Explain that to the layperson like me from Kansas City that doesn't understand that.
I was going to encourage you as a poet to have a go at it, to go ahead. And
The thing about Louisiana, yeah, I need to wrap my brain. The thing about it to me from the outside in. And I haven't been to New Orleans. I've been to Baton Rouge. I've been down there. To me, the eloquence of that lifestyle is that there's a timelessness that never goes away.
Mhm.
The feeling of the South is there, but there's
Mhm.
also this feeling of arts and a progressive culture, and
Yeah.
it's kind of a unique sandwich of antiquity and modern living. But
Uh-huh.
there's this subtext that you don't get unless you live it, unless it's in your bones. And I
Mhm.
think that's the thing about your album that's so unique. You have to live there to feel it. You have to be there for some time to be able to convey an accurate story of that cultural tapestry.
I could not agree more. That's very eloquent in itself, I would say, because I think everybody picks up on the vibe. The, the tourists, 3 or 4 days in New Orleans or Acadiana, but going back to my original intention of getting to know the South through working in it, you really do have to spend the 12 hours straight roughnecking, or you have to spend a lot of time with musicians and so forth, or doing the kind of relief work and construction that informed my life for about 5 years when I came after 2006. So you get to know it more and more. It's there immediately, but the deeper you know it, and I have to thank Jack Groves and Marcia Marie Cordier for taking me inside their cultures so that I could more, and the Couvillon brothers in Lafayette, for taking me inside their cultures so I could understand how rich and various it is, and also how you observe something that I think is very true. It's across every culture. There is that respect for art, that
Mhm.
takes its primary form through music, the musics that are individual but also shared, between New Orleans, Acadiana, and so forth.
Yeah.
That's what we were very lucky to be able to merge in Colors Changing Color in particular, and then the opening two and the closing two tracks of the album.
Yeah. The one thing about this album too is that it's deeply personal. I get that. I feel the stories that you've accumulated over the time that you've lived there. But in that process of putting that mirror up in front of you as an artist, you
Mhm.
realize things that you didn't realize, you didn't think were going to happen, perhaps.
Oh,
What
exactly.
what revelations did you come to about yourself and the creative process through this process of making this album?
Well, to kind of reverse Bob Dylan, I know I'm a lot older now. That is, Colors Changing Color was a much different piece in 1977 than it turned out in its recording in 2024. And that's because um, I was really immersed in the blue collar thing, so it was more about the rough surface of Louisiana at that time. As it evolved in 2024, it became more about, as I said to the band before we cut it, this is kind of about ancestor worship, in that you come to more appreciate how alive those who have come before you remain. And I think that's very salutary, a really good concept, and something that it's not surprising to find in almost all the world's cultures, that you should venerate your elders, and that they are really present for you if you reach out and touch them, so to speak.
Yeah.
They'll touch you. Uh, so there's that, and that was a piece that really broadened, and also Louisiana Days, Louisiana Nights. I never had an ending, so to speak, for Louisiana Days, Louisiana Nights until this year. And I traveled again to Acadiana and kind of wrote the bands of bringing everyone home. The specific intention of that track is to celebrate Louisiana, uh, and the different uh, manifestations that are different but alike. Maurice and I sometimes make that joke here, um, but always with the motif inherent freedom here be like nowhere else. Freedom, what we live for. Freedom, freedom, freedom. There is more freedom in this state, I think, than anywhere I know in the United States. And it's a healthy freedom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm going to go back to the Bob Dylan point that you made.
Mhm.
And I bring it up for this. You know, when he was creating his work, I got the feeling that he was doing it because his soul was speaking to him and it was coming out of him.
Yep.
And it wasn't, he didn't want to be the poster child for a political movement or
Mhm.
anything that was going on, but he was. And I
Mhm.
think about your album and what you're doing and who you are and what you embody and what we're living right now in this very weird world that we're in right now of
Mhm.
things that are happening around us. So, my question to you is this: how emblematic is this album to you of kind of going up against all of these mistruths and these weird things that we're swirling through in this modern world?
Again, Joe, you've hit it on the head in terms of what arose during the recording of the album and what's present with us now. As the album is meant not to be I'll mispronounce this, pain. I can spell it, but I can't say it. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
automatics,
Yeah.
autodidacts, handicap. But anyway, to all working people, working people are still especially present in Louisiana, especially the workers who handle the tourist industry and the entertainment industry, but they're still out there in the fields of Acadiana too, and in the Gulf of Mexico and so forth. And they're still in Appalachia, they're still in California and so forth. And these are the people whom I think we need to be sure are with us. They can't be replaced.
Yeah.
Maybe the work they do can be replaced through AI and robotics and so forth, but the people and the cultures that emanate from them cannot be replaced. Their
Yeah.
humanity.
Yeah.
That's so that ultimately was kind of what was the soul of Louisiana Stories. Uh, I'll go so far as to say it was meant to be humanity's stories.
Yeah. And I think that's the thing coming out of this pandemic that we realized. We were all connected technologically speaking. We could see
Mhm.
each other on screen, we could do all these things,
Yeah,
but I think it pushed us in a human way to want to be around each other, to get involved with these stories that you're conveying,
yeah.
you know?
I believe that's exactly the truth. I think we're experiencing a dictatorship from above that would take that away from us and more consolidate power, especially financial power, in the hands of people who have no regard for the humanity of future of humanity. But I think that there's, at the very least, a consciousness present now that was not present in 2019.
Yeah.
It's a
Yeah.
consciousness that's been forced upon us by crises.
Yeah. So at the end of the day, I know how this album made me feel. What are you hoping the listeners out there get from this album? That buy it, that listen to it end to end. What do you want them to get?
I want them to dance.
Yeah.
Yeah, the motto of the band of DPRAM is
Yes.
poetry and music for music and dancing. So feel your body, enjoy company. Uh, and at the end of the day, at the end of the 76 minutes of the disc with vocals or the 62 minutes instrumentals, feel positive
Yeah.
about yourself and your families, your loved ones. Know that you can do things, do things that are meant to be proscribed uh, against us these days. Know that we are all still here for each other, and what we can do is limitless, especially with the tools that are genius. Not the genius of anybody in the World Economic Forum or in any government, but genius that working class, middle class people have created over centuries.
Yeah. So let me ask you this: as we kind of go into a new year, how hopeful are you right now? As an artist, as a creator, where are you at?
I couldn't be happier, really. I mean, I hope that I'm happier in another year,
Yeah,
but I'm really happy with the band and the capacities. We're working on new songs already. Um, so I think the creativity there is also limitless. And I love the people. They're great people, uh, as well as great musicians. So in that respect, really good. Um, I'll get real personal. Maurice has had knee surgery and two cataract surgeries, so she's a walk and talk and go-getter.
yeah,
So that's another very personal instance of what our tools today allow us to have.
yeah,
Um, and I'm very intent on more capturing what's particularly wonderful about New Orleans and Louisiana over the next year. We're thinking of a podcast that might be called Shiny Eyed People Talk to
yeah,
Us.
yeah.
Uh, yeah,
That would be wonderful.
yeah.
It's interesting when you said that you want people to dance. I'll never forget the time Mr. Randy Weston explained to me how jazz became what it is.
Mhm,
And he had taken a lot of pilgrimages to Africa and said
mhm,
everything swings there. The elephant tail, the palms,
mhm.
everything. And I think about what you said. That's the essence of a really good jazz album is that you want to move. You just like
Right.
I'll find myself looking around the crowd at live shows and you just see people that typically don't move that might be a little stoic and they're
Yep.
moving. The
Yep.
head's moving, the
Yep.
hands are moving, the feet. It's like, and then that's just the precursor to dance, you know? It's like they're already halfway there.
Yeah. Yeah. William Parker and Hamid Drake say exactly the same thing, that dance is at the center of everything they want to do. And I know that when Hamid and I recorded that album that came to be titled Compassion, it was in our minds throughout the time we were recording those tracks.
Yeah. So, what are you doing to promote the album? What live shows that are coming up? How are you unrolling?
We wanted to get into Jazz Fest, but we weren't invited. Maybe we will when there's a cancellation. So there's that. We want to perform at any venue that has, good acoustics and sight lines here. We've got applications into the New Orleans Jazz Museum Theater, the New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Theater, Ellis Marcellus Center. And what we would really, really like to do, Joe, is play in the hot, warm weather at Louisiana fairs and
Yeah.
festivals. Get out there really among the people. And we've encountered some friends from the New Orleans Mystics and others who have given us leads into that kind of booking. And most specifically, what we would like to do is present Louisiana stories in at least 5 cities and theaters to do that stage show
Yeah.
this year. And then perhaps take it, you know, to New York, London, Los Angeles, and so forth.
Yeah. Get it on the road. What's the best way for people to purchase this album or to find out about any shows that might be coming up, any of your previous work? What's the best way to do that?
I think the website, Sticking Up for Children, because all this is meant to be integrated. Don Paul and Rivers Answer Moons has a tab on the stickingupforchildren.com website. And there you can find lots and lots of links to video and music. Also, I have a Substack that's called Stands the Human Being, quoting Walt Whitman. You know. And Louisiana Music Factory is the only retail outlet handling it, and that's very deliberately. We're not going to do Spotify or any of those other platforms that pay much less than a penny a stream and are being exposed
Yeah.
to. So Louisiana Music Factory, you can get it there online, and actually, you may be able to help me. I need to set up something that will allow a digital download uh, cleanly for people who want to, support the album, support our work. I should also say that half of the sales of Louisiana Stories are going toward Sticking Up for Children in our work with primarily 3 schools and an orphanage in Haiti. We have partners in Louisiana, but primarily it's those 3 schools and the orphanage.
And I think that's we talked about that before in our previous interview. I think that's huge. Everything that you do is this cyclical circle of taking care of those that need help in Haiti and beyond. So that's kind of the backbone of what you've always done as an artist, correct?
Well, when I got around 50, I became a lot more conscious
Sure.
of it. Seems like, when you're 15 to 25, 30, you're so much intent on learning your craft, you're 8 or 12 hours a day. You don't really uh, feel anything other than the pursuit of your art.
Yeah.
Uh, at least that was true for me. But then as you get older, you become more and more conscious of what your duties are.
Yeah.
So,
I totally dig it. Yeah, I'm in that realm right now myself.
mhm.
Don, it's so great to catch up with you. Thank you for talking about the album, taking a minute out today. Best of luck. I'll put all the links in the show notes and we'll be in good shape, man.
It was another great one, Joe.
Yeah,
We really admire you. Right? The first interview we did, she says, that's how an interview should be.
yeah.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. Yeah, you're stellar, man. I love what you do. I love your music, just all the way around. Like I still remember that first interview. I was like just running marathons, just everything that you do. You like I think that's our mission here on this planet. Literally parse out every single energy molecule we have towards what we're good at and what we want to do. And that's what you embody. It's always,
Yeah, and everyone has it.
yeah,
Everyone can access it. It's there in us. We're all godly.
yeah,
Yeah. Shout out to David Amram.
yeah. Oh man,
Shout out to David Amram.
I love that man. I mean, he is he's one of the coolest humans that ever touched foot on this planet. So I was thinking about him the other day too when David Lynch passed. He is David is David Amram is in that ilk of just they're so visionary, they're so kind, they're so good. They embody everything that we're taught in kindergarten that we should be when we grow up.
Mhm.
You
Yeah, he's
know,
a wonder. He's a
yeah.
wonder.
So
94.
wow, that's
Younger every year.
man,
Yeah.
I hope he lives to 200, man. He needs to stick around. So, Don, so good to see you, man. Thank you, sir. Have a
Yeah.
wonderful 2025, man.
See you soon, I hope.
Yes,
Thank you.
sir. Absolutely. Thank you.